Breaking news now. President Trump has just tweeted his summit with Kim Jong-un will take place in Hanoi, Vietnam. It will be held on the 27th and 28th of this month. A new report says federal prosecutors are reviewing the National Enquirer's handling of that story about Amazon owner Jeff Bezos, his affair, and his pictures. We're looking to see whether the tabloid violated an earlier immunity agreement with the federal government. The Supreme Court blocking a Louisiana law placing restrictions on abortion clinics. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the court's liberal wing in a 5-4 decision. And Rasmussen reporting President Trump's support in the daily tracking poll at 50% among likely voters. President Trump's approval rising each day since he gave that State of the Union address. Joining us tonight, social media superstars, the president's, well, amongst the greatest of all of his supporters, Diamond and Silk, hosts of the Fox Nation show, Diamond and Silk, and it is great to have you with us. And what about that 50% approval rating?
Yes, I mean, it looks good. Listen, people are loving, Americans are loving this president right now.
That's right.
I mean, he gave a great State of the Union address the other night. I mean, listen, he talked about how we needed to secure the border, how our country will never be a socialist country, and people love that. Now, the Democrats, on the other hand, the state that they were left in, I mean, they was just really like and ooh, and they didn't like it.
That's
but
right.
Guess what? They are the ones that's trying to push socialism down our throats. They are the ones that want to keep our borders open so that people can
They're the ones who were treating. They're the ones. I mean, they're the ones who were treating Matt Whitaker like a convict, a criminal in that chair today instead of the acting Attorney General of the United States. I mean, at this point, I think a lot of people, Republicans, independents, are saying about those Democrats who don't support this president, the hell with you. We don't need to spend any more time trying to reason with you, because reason isn't anything you're interested in.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they can't name one piece of legislation that they've pushed for Americans.
Right.
But I can see what they're trying to push for these illegal aliens. You know, when I looked at this Representative Pramila Jayapal, when I looked at the way that she ridiculed Whitaker, when I looked at how she did that, my question was, where is her outrage for the parents of American children that's been murdered by illegal aliens? If you're so concerned about children being pulled from the breast of a woman, but what about children being ripped from the womb of a woman? It's a disgrace.
It is a disgrace, and I think the country right now has been in such shock from the spectacle of watching two states, New York and Virginia, vote on an abortion law just as you described it, accepted by the state of New York, rejected, to its credit in my judgment, and my values, by Virginia. But this is an extraordinary time. Listen to what socialist superstar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says about America. Here she is.
An agency like ICE, which repeatedly and systematically violates human rights, does not deserve a dime. We are standing on Native land, and Latino people are descendants of Native people. And we cannot be told and criminalized simply for our identity or our status.
Native land. Diamond and Silk, what do you think about that?
Well, see, I think that she have a serious problem, and she really have the Democrats really looking crazy. I mean, everybody is stepping away because they are like, wait a minute. First of all, when you come into this country, if you're going to migrate, then you're going to get in line and you're going to wait your turn.
That's right.
You're not going to bum rush our borders, throw rocks at our Border Patrol agents think you can just walk up in our country. It doesn't work like that. And our ICE agents are here for a reason. Maybe she need to go read what the reason is instead of throwing daggers at them, because they are needed in this country.
That's right.
But you know, she's the ones that pushing this socialism. She want to control our education. She want to get rid of the cows so we can't eat steaks. She want to get rid of our airplane. She want to tell us how much we going to be making. That's what I'm talking about. Socialism. To put push us back into the days of slavery, and we can't let that happen. In 2 years, it's time to vote her out.
Diamond and Silk, as always, great to see you, my friends. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
The Missouri congressman and a minister by training, which it's that I really want to focus on here, because it seems every time we get a chance to meet Congressman, and thank you for coming in, it's always about some latest fight or dust-up or anger and issues that sometimes date back, in this case, years, if not decades. But in Virginia, it is looking very messy for Democrats. What do they do?
Well, you know, I haven't, unfortunately, kept up with that very much because of this new subcommittee chairmanship, and I've been trying to get up to speed on that. I do think that the Virginia situation needs to be cleared up quickly. The Democrats, I think, are seemingly moving to the point of having almost a unanimous request for resignation of the lieutenant governor, who I don't know. And I think the governor, from everything I'm hearing from people here in Washington who are close to that situation, the governor is not going to resign.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Congressman? Because a lot of people are relieved, and the state Democrats are, because the last thing they want is, with the top three Democrats in disarray in the state, the fourth person in line to be governor would be the Republican, and they don't want to do that. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think we've become so polarized that that's probably something that is being considered in Virginia, unfortunately. I think, though, that and I have a little different, slightly different position than a lot of other Democrats on this. I don't think that, I mean, when you look at something that happened in 1985, the governor apparently has a long and rich history of being very involved with and sensitive to issues of African Americans and other minorities since that time. It doesn't make what he did right. I'm just, you know, I'm still struggling with whether or not he can still govern.
Well, that's interesting. So your view, Congressman, just to be clear, is that, yeah, you don't accept the sins of racism maybe in someone's distant past, but much like, you know, Robert Byrd, a former Ku Klux Klansman, of course, who did a lot of, you know, landmark racial legislation, or Lyndon Johnson, the same, that it's what they do since those times that matter, right?
Right. I was born and raised in Texas, and I can remember when I was a boy, when John Kennedy was killed, and people in Texas, African Americans in Texas, were lamenting the fact that Lyndon Johnson was going to be sworn in at Love Field in Dallas, Texas. African Americans always thought, oh, this is the worst thing could happen. We're going to probably end up back in slavery. Lyndon Johnson had a deep history of being a segregationist. He is now, without anybody being close, the greatest civil rights president in the history of the United States. Lyndon Baines Johnson.
No, you're right.
So,
I mean, so they can prove you wrong, you know, but it is that past behavior as an African American and this consistent pattern of behavior and pictures and joking that might be decades old, to be fair, but it is out there. Does it bother you at a certain level that it was so widespread?
Yes, that does bother me. I think I feel insulted that someone wants to take my somebodyness and make it into another worldness. You know, like, you know, if you darken your face, you know, you are not necessarily a human anymore. You're this kind of thing, and it's funny. It never was funny, never is funny. But you know, when I grew up, we got a little black and white television set, I think, when I was probably in the 9th grade, and they had a show on Amos and Andy. And you're talking about how race was made to seem crazy and ignorant and so forth. It was that show, 30 minutes every week on a major network television. Well, that's all we had at the time.
Right.
And nobody even protested. So you know, this is a tough deal for me, and maybe for others. I know I've had conversations with others who are saying, yeah, you got to, you know, publicly you got to say you're for kicking him out. And you know, you know, all of us need to be very careful about you know, wanting to kick somebody out for something back then.
Fair
although I do look at him differently.
Congressman, I always learn something talking to you. Thank you very much, sir. Be well. Emmanuel Cleaver, beautiful state of Missouri.